guys, how you doing? I'm gonna do a quick video for you now, talking you through the module called Earning Money in the Music Industry. It's a written module, and we're expecting like you should get at least 600 words out of this, more like 1,000. I wouldn't really go over 1,200, so that's your kind of word count. It's a written module. You'll be able to do it all with just the internet and doing research. We're looking at how money is earned in the music industry and about the collection of royalties and the payment of royalties. So there's another video accompanying this which demonstrates different types of copyright. There's a PowerPoint that I'm going to go through, which I'll make available to you, and also another Word document on how to complete this essay. Okay, but let's deal with this. Okay, so if I can just present my screen, there are 3 questions. Okay, 3 questions. Question number 1 is this: describe how income is generated through the composition of music, to include both sales and broadcast, highlighting the role of organizations associated with the collection of income from composed works. Okay. Question 2, describe the role of the organizations associated with the collection of income from live performance, highlighting means to generate income from the live performance of music. And question 3, describe how income is generated through the recorded performance of music, to include both sales, digital and physical, and broadcast, highlighting the role of organizations associated with the collection of income from recorded performances. Okay, so question 1 deals with income generated through composing music, through creating music. Question 2 deals with income generated through the live performance of music. And question 3 describes income generated through recordings of music. Okay, now I'm going to have to go back to the start to explain. You need some information first before you can tackle that. Okay, now firstly you need to know about copyright. So copyright is the right to copy, the right to make a copy. When you create an original artistic, literary or musical work, you are its owner. It's your intellectual property, you've come up with it, and you have the sole right to make a copy of it, and therefore you can charge a fee for the use of this work. So copyright is the legal framework which enables creators to make a living from their artistic endeavor. Okay, otherwise artists would be creating things and it would have no value, because anybody could just take it or use it or do whatever they want with it. Copyright enables people who create artistic stuff to get paid for it. Okay, now in music there are 2 types of copyright. Now there is another video accompanying this, I think it's called Copyright. It's up on the channel, where we look at the Fuji song Ready or Not, and I explain in that the 2 types of copyright in a different way. So I'd watch that, but I'll also briefly break it down here. Okay, now there is copyright in the musical work. Okay, this is the copyright that's in the music itself. Now, whoever writes the composition is considered the owner of the musical work copyright. Now, you might come up with it all by yourself, or you might be part of a band where one of you writes the lyrics, one of you writes the melodies, the chord progression. It might be a group effort in which the musical copyright is shared, or it might be just one person. Now, revenue streams, income generated from the musical work copyright include performance royalties from whenever that song is played on a radio or a live performance of it, or whenever that song is performed in public. That has to be paid for, and royalties will go to whoever owns the copyright. Mechanical license royalties, so every time that song is copied, so the making lots of copies of CDs or albums, you'll get paid then. Synchronization fees, if the song is synced to film or television, so if a TV channel or an advert or a film uses your song, then you'll get paid for that. They have to pay for it, and that money will go to whoever owns the copyright. And digital royalties as well, if the song is featured on a game or a YouTube video, etc. Now, these royalties get paid to whoever owns the copyright. Now, generally, like I said, by default, whoever creates that musical song owns the copyright. But it's not unusual for copyright to be reassigned or sold or given away as part of a deal. So, for example, a publishing company, you're an aspiring songwriter, a publishing company may well offer you a deal. So they'll say, right, okay, we rate you, write us 10 songs in the next year and we'll give you £100,000. And that's not bad if you're struggling, you get £100,000 for a year's work. You give them 10 songs. But in that deal, you'll also be signing over the copyright to those songs. So one of those songs may well go on to make £100 million. Who knows? That's what the publishing company are betting on. But so just because the person who creates it is the original owner of the copyright, they're not necessary. Those rights can be given away and they can be signed and they can be transferred. So by default, it rests with whoever comes up with whoever creates it, but that's not always who keeps it. And remember, royalties are paid to whoever has the copyright. Okay. Now, the other type of copyright within music is the copyright within the recording of the song. One copyright is in the song itself, one copyright is in the recording of the song. So, let me just see. When a musical composition is recorded, a new copyright is created called the sound recording copyright, and this will be owned by whoever arranged, i.e. paid, for the recording to be made. Now, revenue streams generated from the sound recording copyright include record sales and master use licenses when the recording is used in TV, film, etc. So you can see already there is some overlap between copyrights and there's overlap between royalties. So, for example, it says master use license fees when the recording is used in TV and film. So say there's a new film out that uses a song, that whoever's made that film is going to have to pay for the sound recording copyright because they've used the recording, but they're also going to have to pay for the musical copyright because they've used the song. So they'll pay two lots of copyright on that. Now, the owner who owns this copyright is normally record labels. In the old traditional model, it's record labels. So there'd be a band, they'd come up with a song, the record label would be like, yeah, we like you, come, we'll record the song for you. And how it would work was that the band would get paid from the musical copyright revenue streams, and then the label would get paid by the recordings because they've arranged for the recordings and they're the ones making all the CDs and records and selling them. Yeah. So the two types of copyright. Okay. Next slide. Royalties. Why are royalties important? Because royalties are paid to the owners of the copyright. Okay. So we're going to look at collection agencies, and the collection agencies are the organizations that collect royalties, and they do this and then they distribute them to the songwriters, to the performers, to the record labels, to the copyright holders basically. So radio stations, music venues, even like if any premise playing music in public has to pay money to the collection agencies, okay? Even if you've got a small shop selling, like a charity shop selling secondhand clothes, if you've got a radio on that the public can hear, you need to be paying these collection agencies. It's like a fixed rate per year based on how big your shop is basically, and how big your venue is and how many people are in there. And so all that money from all the radio stations, from every little shop, every music venue, every pub, every place where music is played in public, they pay a fee for that. Okay, these venues, they pay a fee for that, and it goes to collection agencies who then collect it and they give it out to the owners of the copyrights. Okay. Now in the UK, it gets a bit complicated here because there's basically 3 agencies, but 2 of them are working together. So you've got PRS for Music, which is made up of 2 separate companies working together. PRS, the Performing Rights Society, collects royalties for the owners of the musical work copyright. So it's the songwriters and the guys that came up with the music. MCPS collects royalties for the owners of the sound recording copyright. So that's for like the record labels and the people who own the royalties in the recordings. Own the copyright in the recording, sorry. And then you've got another one called PPL, and they collect royalties when a song is being performed, and they do that on behalf of performers and record labels. So there is overlapping, interlapping, and I'll share with you a diagram as well that it's actually quite mind-boggling, but it shows you all the different agencies, all the different people that pay for license to music, and then the songwriters, and how they're all interlinked and interacted. So there is a lot of crossover. And you then remember that all these guys that I've just mentioned are just UK agencies. So every different country, every different overseas territory will have their own collection agencies. So if you write a song that blows up all over the world, your management or your record label will have to go and collect all the money from all these different agencies all over the world. It's a big, complex operation. Okay, next one. So we're back to question 1. Describe how income is generated through the composition of music to include both sales and broadcast, highlighting the role of organisations associated with the collection of income from composed works. Basically, guys, we're talking about the musical work copyright, the copyrights that is in the music, and what royalties are paid to the owner of the musical work copyrights. Now, these are revenue streams from the musical work copyright. So public performance revenues, whenever it's played in public. Mechanical royalties, whenever the song is copied. You've got synchronization, licensing fees for when it's on linked to a TV advert or a TV program or a film or whatever. Digital royalties, say there's a really popular YouTube video that uses a song in the background, they're going to have to pay digital royalties to whoever owns the copyright, the musical work copyright. Print royalties, if you've written lyrics, they will fall under the musical work copyright, and if those lyrics are ever reprinted, or for sheet music, you know, when you're learning to play guitar and you can buy them books or you can see them online where they show you the tabs and that, all of that they should be paying royalties, and these organisations will collect those royalties on your behalf. You can also charge people to sample your stuff. If someone wants to sample it, they have to ask the copyright owner for permission, and you can work out a fee, or you can work out a percentage. That's between whoever wants to sample the work and whoever owns the copyright in the work. Now, PRS is the collection agency primarily responsible for the collection of these royalties in the UK. Okay. Question 2. Describe the role of organisations associated with the collection of income from live performance. Excuse me. Highlighting means to generate income from the live performance of music. So when we're dealing with live performance, we're dealing with the PPL collection agency. They collect royalties from broadcasters and venues on behalf of artists and performers. They're the agency primarily responsible for collecting live performance royalties in the UK. Now, income from live performance may obviously include the royalties, but also for paid performances and for ticket sales. The PPL also collect money for performers, it says there. So this is extra. We've had the copyright within the composers of the songs, and we've had the copyright within the guys who arranged for the recordings to be made. The PPL will also collect money for the performers. So you may just be a band member, a session musician. You haven't wrote the song, and you're nothing. You obviously played on the recording, but you don't own the copyright to the recording because you didn't arrange for it to happen or pay for it to happen. But if your performances are broadcast in public, then PPL will collect money for you. Question 3. Describe how income is generated through the recorded performance of music to include both sales and broadcast, highlighting the role of organisations associated with the collection of income from recorded performance. So we are looking at the copyright that's in the recording now. Traditionally, what the record labels used to own. Whoever arranged and paid for the recording to happen. Who owns the recordings? So this is how money is made from those recordings. Obviously sales, both like physically selling CDs and records, doesn't happen so much anymore, although vinyl sales are creeping back up. More so digital sales. So not streaming, but when you buy an album from iTunes or Amazon or whatever. And then you do have the streaming royalties that are also paid. So that's your Spotify and the other streaming sites. Master use licenses. This is when you give someone permission to use the recording. So it might be in a film, it might be in a TV program or whatever. You give them permission to use the recording in whatever they're doing. And also sampling fees. Again, if someone wants to sample a piece of music that's recorded, then they're going to have to pay for that. The organisation primarily responsible for collecting these fees is the MCPS, which is the organisation that works closely with PRS. Okay. Now, these are the websites that I referred to when I was putting this together. You can click on any of them or just research your own stuff. Remember, in your written essays, I will need a list of references at the end, just like I've done here in a bibliography. Put down where you're getting the information from. How I would go about it is, I'll go back there, you need to spend a little bit of time explaining what copyright is, the two different types of copyright, and who normally owns them if they're not sold or given away. So this is the sound recording copyright. Yeah, that's the musical work copyright. That's the sound recording copyright. Briefly explain those, and then we'll get onto royalties. And you need to, I'd do a bit more research. Don't just use this. Do a bit more research on PRS for music, who they are and what they do, and also PPL, who they are and what they do. And then go question by question. So question 1 is about income through the composition of music. So you're looking at all these. I wouldn't bullet point them, I'd explain them. So revenue streams from the musical work copyright, public performance revenues. These are da 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 da. Mechanical royalties. These are da 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 da. Do you know what I mean? Again, do the same with question 2. So like I'm just giving you bullet points, you need to expand on them. And question 3, same process. That's the revenue streams you get from owning the sound recording copyright. Don't just bullet point them, go into detail. And then a bibliography at the end, okay? Remember, there's a video accompanying this where we looked at the Fujis and looked at how the different type of copyrights work within what they sampled. And also, I'll do a little Word document for you just breaking down roughly what I've said on how to attack this essay. We need minimum 800 words. Come on, guys. And like, if you go into over like, once you get to over 1200, 1300, you've probably done enough. Okay? Good luck with it. I know you can do it. Sweet.